All right, here we go. Welcome to Real Estate 360 with Kenn Renner. Kenn, we're going to go back in time a little bit today to your time on television.
Yes, sir.
If you're watching this on Facebook Live, you may remember Kenn's face. Of course, you, along with your wife, did a few episodes of HGTV House Hunters.
Yeah, absolutely. We did actually 3 episodes of House Hunters, and my wife and our family was one of the featured families on the show. And then the other shows, I was just simply the realtor that was showing them around.
Right. Well, still, you were on.
Oh, yeah, it was
How
great.
did that all come about? Give me the Reader's Digest version of how that happened.
Well, I started doing YouTube back when YouTube was just came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, if I could just copy what House Hunters does for my listings, it'd be so easy to be able to put them on the internet and send them to clients or post them long before. I mean, this is like when Facebook was just starting.
Before everyone was doing it?
Yeah, YouTube had just gotten bought by Google. And so before that, there really was no way to send a video via email or a text, which you can do now, obviously, or there was no real Facebook was just getting going, so there wasn't a social media. So I was like, how can I get this video out? So YouTube came along and solved that problem. I said, okay, now I'm going to follow what House Hunters does and kind of just do a little tour of the home and describe the property, and then my clients would be happy because no one else is doing it.
Right.
And number 2, because YouTube was bought by Google, the search engine optimization was off the charts.
Right.
That's changed since now, and YouTube's still the second largest search engine in the world.
Wow.
So I'm big on YouTube. I have the #1 video channel in America for a realtor. It's got over 11 million views. It's KennRenner.tv, and there's lots of resources, including these shows are on there as well. But what happened was I was just thinking, wow, it sure be nice to be on House Hunters. That'd be really good for my business and
right.
Credibility. And I'm 2.2 million viewers every week. Can't hurt. Everybody likes Austin.
Right.
So I just happened to. That's when your reticular activator happens, and I happened to be at a meeting, and I overheard one of my friends talking to somebody else, another realtor friend, that was saying, "Yeah, we're on House Hunters," and I'm like, "House Hunters? Ding, ding, ding." So I just went up to her and I said, "How'd you get on House Hunters?" And she goes, "It was real easy. All I did was contact Pytown Productions, and they sent me a form. Actually, back then they emailed it to you. They mailed it to you because we weren't using the email as much. But so they filled out we filled out the form along with a VHS tape, and sent it in to with our clients. So I had to pick a client. You have to have, I was asking all my clients, who wants to be on House Hunters? Who wants to be on House Hunters? And so a really nice couple I was working with, Eric and Allie Coburn, they were school teachers in the Pflugerville School District, and they were working with me. And I said, "Yeah, by the way, in passing, would you like to be on House Hunters?" And she said, "Yeah." So we sat down at the dining room table, and you do a little interview, ask a few questions on tape, and then we send the tape in to Pytown Productions. And about a month later, or a couple of weeks later, they said, "Yeah, these guys look good. We can do this."
Yeah.
So it was pretty exciting. It was like, wow, you guys are going to be on TV. Your family's going to be able to remember all this. I mean, they had a little boy at the time, and you'll be able to kind of have a record of this change in your life. And it was really exciting.
The bigger picture, it really speaks. It really gives you the credibility that someone in your position really needs with potential future down the line customers.
Well,
clients.
Yeah, and it is. Some of my business coaches are saying you got to have that on all of your. So everything that I do, my business cards, my books, everything has as seen on House Hunters.
Because I want to be one of those people that just gets to tell people what they should do, like your coach. I would. You know what I mean by that? Like I've had. Consultants and coaches. You need to do this. I just want to be that person and not have to do all the things.
That'd be great.
Right. Right. How do we get that started?
Yeah. So I know. And so, just so I milked it as much as I could. And so that first show was kind of a training session for me. And I realized that, as you probably know, reality shows, not reality TV.
They say the most scripted shows in television are non-scripted shows. Reality shows.
Yeah. Well, I figured the whole thing out was why Hollywood went to. There was a lot more reality shows. It's cheap.
Yeah, it's cheap.
So here's the process, the way it works. I don't know if this violates my HGTV contract.
I think it's probably up by now.
Limitations.
Yeah.
No, but anyways, so what happened was this is the way the process works. So you submit a tape back then. Now you can email it in to Pytown Productions. Pytown looks at it, decides whether they want it, and then the producer contacts us and says, "Yeah, we're in it. We need a little more information," and blah blah blah. Well, my clients or whoever's on the show actually have already found the house. So that burst the bubble right there. There is not 3 houses. There's no way they could do it because the way the logistics go. So they've already they're under contract on the house, waiting for it to go through the process and everything. Meantime, they're going, great, you found a house. We'll send our producer out and our crew. And you're thinking, okay, a crew, lighting and everything. You know, I was like, no, it's
a couple guys with the cameras.
It's a sound
and a boom
guy.
mic. Yeah.
It's a sound guy with a boom mic, and it's a camera guy with a big giant. I mean, thing is heavy. Got some pictures on my website of that thing, and then a producer. And the producer's job is to make the show interesting and try to juice it for everything you got. So they come out and they shoot for 5 days straight, 12 hours a day. So it's Monday through Friday, and it's 8 in the morning till 8 at night. And we're going through and we're doing every scene, and we're doing every scene twice. So that way, if there's some hitch in it, some glitch in it, that they can redo it. So everything you see that was done, it was done twice. So gets to be, you got to wear some really comfortable shoes because you got to do all these different houses, and then there's also scene shots where you're in a park or you're in the neighborhood and all that kind of stuff. So they show before the scenes of where you were living. That's a whole day right there. Then we go tour the houses. Now remember, they already know which house they're being built. So we have to play like the other 2 houses that we're looking at are really something of interest.
Right.
And the producer tries to really pull that out. But sometimes you can notice when you watch the show, it's like, no, they're not buying that one. It's really true because they've already chosen the house.
But it's fun as the viewer to be able to pick which one you would buy. To play along with it.
Well, when my wife and I did our show where we were the buyers, she got rather upset because I showed her what she considered was a nicer home than the $1 million+ house we bought. And she's like, why didn't we buy this one? It's like,
right.
It's like, we're already done. We're already,
right.
So they fly the crew out, and we talk a little bit about how I learned through this experience what was important on the electronic and the background of what was really important to him. So shows up at our door. We go to the first property. They pile out. They do all the videotaping. They first check out the whole scene, and then they say okay, we need to unplug the refrigerator. I'm like, why? You have to unplug the refrigerator.
The noise.
Yeah. So any little noise, and that was a thing I learned about video is especially even today online and on TV, that the number one thing is that sound.
Yeah, and sound's often overlooked in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, they were so serious about the sound. So they put he put his keys in the refrigerator. I go, why are you putting your keys in the refrigerator? That way, when I leave, I don't forget to go get my keys out.
My dad taught me that when I was a kid. If I packed a lunch for school or for work, to always put my car keys in my bag, my lunch sack, so I wouldn't forget my lunch. Yeah, it's a great thing.
Yeah, so then it's really interesting how they get all those angles and everything, and there's a lot of downtime in between where they're taking pictures of the entire house, and you got to think about this. This is 5 days straight of shooting, and then there's a whole nother day when they come back after the math when you're already in the house, and at the very end of the show there's like a scene where like, okay, which house are we going to buy, and then there's a big party, and that's and that's the third time the second time they come back, and that's usually 60, 90 days after you did the one shot. I mean, the first show with the 5 days straight. And they don't pay us as realtors, by the way. So they do pay the client. They pay them $500. Ooh. But it's nice because it's, as a realtor, I'm like, hey, it's a huge,
it just raises your profile tremendously.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was really good. And then they come back and do the final episode, and then they go take all that footage and give it to the editor. Say, have fun with it. It took a year.
Oh yeah.
From when we did the shooting to when it actually aired, because it took that long to get it into the editor's hands.
And everyone thinks it's so easy. Oh, it's easy. Just, you do this. Do it with your phone. It's so easy.
So
it's not.
Think about it. 6 days solid of shooting.
Yeah.
2 scenes every time, stops for sound. Like, I mean, if a plane was flying over, they would stop. Okay, everything stops until the plane's done flying over.
Yeah.
For 22 minutes of actual video time.
Yeah.
I mean, That's amazing.
It is.
So
It is.
So yeah, it was a lot of fun behind the scenes. Eric and Allie were great, and he was a cook, and of course they loved the whole.
Are you
cooking
pitching
thing.
to get back on?
Yeah,
Is that what this is all
Yeah,
about?
I would love to do it.
Would you
but-
do it?
Oh yeah, and I really enjoyed it. But I've almost asked every client, would you like to be would you like to be on House Hunters? Usually, one or the other says no. No,
Really?
I don't.
Well,
that was my wife.
So yeah.
So when we did our show, so what happened was Pie Town, I contacted Pie Town again, say, hey, I'd like to be on the show again. And they go, well, this time we're really looking for somebody who's buying a luxury home, $1 million plus. And back in the day, $1 million plus actually was a luxury home, right? But yeah, so I'm going, okay, well, I don't have any clients right now I'm working with that are buying $1 million plus home except for myself. So I was actually in the process of buying a Lake Travis property that we were moving to.
Right.
And so I said, would it be a problem if I was the buyer and we'd have one of my staff become the realtor, and our family would be able to be on the show.
Right.
And we did the video and sent it in, and they said, yeah, this looks good. And, $1.2 million house looks really good. It was, a house overlooking Lake Travis, 3 acres. Pool, sport court.
Sounds like a resort.
It was. Well, it cost as much as a resort. It was like $350 a day, So, yeah, we lived there for about 7 years and then moved back to Williamson County. And so, it was a long, fun journey, and the house was a resort. If you watch the last part of the episode,
And people can see this on your YouTube channel, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And
So,
that is, again, tell everyone again what that is.
It's my name, Kenn Renner, KENNRENNER.TV.
Okay.
So yeah, just go YouTube, Kenn Renner. Actually, if you Google it, you'll find my YouTube channel.
Okay.
But yeah, so our show was very interesting because it was a little bit different. First of all, my office manager became the realtor, so not reality there.
Right.
She'd never sold a house in her life, but she did really good.
Right.
And she acted like she had been really good at the business, and the producer coached it through. So the day of the show, we get a call from the producer. Says, Mr. Renner? I said, yeah. We're coming out. We're ready to go ahead and get started. I go, all right, great. Well, here's my address and everything like that. So we get there, and we're standing at our house because do our house first, the old house, and looking out down the stairs, and here comes this lady. She's got to be about 4 foot 9 inches.
Mm-hmm.
She is got a crop top flat, just
a flat top,
a military flat top with just spiked up hair. I mean,
right.
This is from California, so we're like, okay, all right, we're from California, but it was like she was wearing army fatigues.
Okay. Like, are you at the right show?
That's exactly what I asked. I go,
some sort of boot camp?
Yeah, it was like, are you sure she's like 5 foot tall, and she's a militant. And okay, so she gets up there and she starts talking really fast and really animated. And we're like, okay, well, this is going to be an interesting day or an interesting 5 days.
Yeah.
So I found out as we were talking to her, she says, yes, I'm the guy. I mean, I'm the one that's going to handle all the production here, and we're gonna follow. And so, okay, all right. Well, we didn't find out that this lady's calling should have been stand-up comedy. She had us rolling, and we were playing into it. We were behind every scene. That's why our show, I think, turned out so well. We ran it for 3 years.
Yeah,
is there was so much fun going on in the background, and it was not politically correct fun.
Good for you. Good.
It was not. So you got to understand. We have this this producer who's is constantly talking, ADD off the charts, and just making joke after joke, and she's obviously the more of the Democratic liberal side of things, and then of course us Williamson County people at the time were a little more Republican Christian right kind of side of things, and so I mean we approve of everybody, but it was like so it behind the scenes it was religion against religion, Buddhism against Christianity. It was politics. It was same-sex marriage as opposed to not. It was going on and on behind the scenes and trying to convince each other of the sides. And my wife was getting really into it because she was like she was getting real feisty, and we're going back and forth. And it was everything you're not supposed to talk about. We were talking about
at the dinner table,
behind the scenes, and so it was a lot of fun. But it really made for the whole show to be so light, and then you can see it as it comes across on the actual episode.
Nice,
yeah. So, So one of the things that she said, she goes, you mind if I light up? And I go, well, light up? I mean, you don't smoke cigarettes, do you? No, I've got medical marijuana. Now remember, this is 10 years ago.
Yeah, right.
This is before the dispensaries and I go, you brought that on the plane with you? Oh yeah, no problem. And she's like, I've got a prescription. I'm like, okay, all right, well, have at it, go ahead.
Yeah.
She didn't do it in front of us, but maybe I shouldn't say that about house hunters. Maybe you should cut that out. We won't
almost getting a new episode until now.
We won't tell which producer it was. How about that?
There you go.
So,
there you go. Let them figure it out. Chances are they're not there anymore anyway.
So what they try to do is they try to create controversy.
Sure. Yeah.
Because it's boring if you're walking in a house that you really don't want anyways, right? It's like, so my big thing was I'm on the side, I'm a musician. My daughter's a professional musician. And so I wanted a studio. I wanted a place where I could set up my equipment and play just like you got your studio here and have fun and do video too. I was doing video too. And my wife wanted a pool. That was the 9-yard and a view of the lake. I mean, okay, honey, is that all you want? Is a pool and a view of the lake? So, and that was kind of the thing. And so the first house that we toured, which was a builder friend of ours, I had the listing actually. So that was a good marketing tool. Hey, we'll put your house on House Hunters,
right?
My listing. So it was a luxury house, beautiful, had a pool, but it didn't have a view of the lake. And so you see the disappointment in my wife's eyes. But I can't see the lake. So yeah, so anyways, I was like, okay, we already bought the house we're under contract on the house with the lake. Then the next house, we were out in Valente, and you know how pretty Valente is.
I lived there for a long time.
Yeah. So there was this big giant house with a beautiful pool, in-ground pool, almost right on the lake, with a spectacular horizon.
That's
view.
Dangerous with that lake level.
Yeah. So anyways, the house is really nice and everything. And so we were touring the house, and then she's in the middle of shooting. She goes, why didn't we buy this one?
Oh.
I'm like,
Right.
It was cheaper too. It's like, no, I was like, we're pretty much set. Okay. So let's go ahead. So we had a lot of fun with it, but then she finally looks at Natalie, who's the realtor in the show. It's my office manager. She looks at, but it only has 3 bedrooms.
Oh gosh.
It's not going to work. It's not going to work. So anyways, we zipped on over to our actual house that we had, which is and this time we got to bring our kids. So it was Justin and Christine. Justin was, I think, 7 or 8 and Christine was 5. Mm-hmm. So that was a lot of fun when we were actually touring the house, and they became the stars of the show just because Justin had his voice hadn't changed yet. So he had this high squeaky pitched voice. And of course he wanted to be part of the NBA, so having the sport court was a really good thing.
Yeah.
But my daughter Christine, she didn't get a word in edgewise as Justin took over the show. So yeah, so that was fun. We and then we eventually moved into that house and then had the after party. So on the show you'll see we had invited all our friends and had a big party and a barbecue out.
It had to be a pretty cool experience to go through to do all that. Not everyone gets to see how the sausage is made. You know what I mean? You get to really see how it's done.
Yeah,
and be as part of it. It's nothing but upside.
It was really interesting. Since I do a lot of video, it was really good to really take notes the whole time. So I'm sitting there learning about all this stuff, especially the sound thing, and really going doing the deep dive on it and learning and watching what these guys do. And they do stuff. They do crazy stuff. They do stuff like it. All 3 of them, the producer, the sound person, and the video guy, get in the tub to be able to do the piano of the bathroom if that's the only place they can get the piano from.
Yeah.
They also spent a lot of time taking videos of other things. We got Lake Travis High School actually got busted there by their security because I wanted to take a picture of the high school. Right? It was like that was part of the story that had great schools. Well, they come down and they bust us and they go, Who is this? What are you doing here? They thought we were a news crew with the camera and everything. We're like, you can't be doing this. So we go, well, just check with the principal and say, this is from Pie Town Productions. We're shooting a show for House Hunters. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, let them go. Yeah, that's awesome. Take a picture. Show
security guard doing their job.
Yeah, so it was good. So Then the last show that we did was I call it the Doctor Show because, and for those people listening in California, this is where Kevin and Krista Hofarth, they were doctors, decided to move to Austin, and they were moving from Lake Tahoe. So they're moving from Lake Tahoe, and they wanted to move to a lakefront property or lake area property, which was Lake Travis, right? That was our lake. So they're moving from Lake Tahoe, which was totally covered in snow. Okay, what's that?
Just so you know, we're at 20 minutes.
Okay, so I'll go quick on this. So they're the cool thing about Dr. Hofarth is I got in front of the hospital doing my YouTube videos, because the hospital was being built in Lakeway Regional Medical Center. Right. So I got in front of it. I took videos and acted like a newscaster. Well, he actually saw that video, contacted me from that video. So there's the power of YouTube, and said, "Hey, I'm relocating and actually interviewing with the hospital, and that's how I got your information. I saw your video, and so I'm calling you." And I said, "Great." I knew the CEO of the hospital, so I introduced him. I actually helped him get his job at the hospital. So that's a little feather in the cap for me to help him get his job there. And so that's one of the things I taught a lot of realtors, and with Keller Williams and all that, speaking on their big stages, is the power of video and how to really leverage it. And so they picked a house out in Rough Hollow. It was a model home, so it made it really easy to videotape. Of course, I had to get all the permissions from the builder at the time, Grand Haven. That was a pain in the butt to get HOA permission and all that kind of stuff. And then they came out. They flew out. It was where we did the show. We looked at the other fake houses that we did. One of the things that was true with this couple was that she had MS, which they kind of wanted to show even a little bit more dramatic, because one day, it wasn't a bad form of MS, but the second day that we did the shooting, she had a cane, and she's got to be in her 30s. I mean, so it was kind of sad a little bit, but the bottom line is that they did enjoy themselves. We got through the whole thing, and one of the things that kept on going on, if you watch that show, is the add-ons. Every time we went to, we want this stove. Well, that'll be like $6,000. And then we had the courts. He wanted his workout room, so he actually didn't get his workout room. So it was unfortunate. But Rough Hollow has plenty of places to work out.
Sure.
So that was really fun to help the doctor get on House Hunters, be able to help them through this process, document it for their kids. Charlie was their daughter. Charlie was the daughter's name, a really cute kid. And so now she has that as a memorial for being able to see what it was like when Mommy and Daddy bought the house out from California to Austin. And so, and then of course what we did is we did a big party, showing party for Krista and Kevin down at the Rough Hollow clubhouse. And we had the big TV, and we invited all our friends, and we did a big giant showing. And so that was really good for business. I'm always trying to leverage my business that way. And they loved it. The show turned out really well. And that's pretty much the last show that we did so far. I'm looking for my next clients that want to go ahead and jump on House Hunters. Hopefully some more reloads from California.
Right. So, hey, House Hunters, if you're watching or listening, get a hold of Kenn, right?
Yeah, home buyers, I'm here for you. And so, I wanted to give you a little bit behind the scenes of
interesting, very, very
reality TV, right?